Starting us off at number 10, we have the Justin Timberlake cheating scandal. If you missed this one, then prepare for your heart to be broken because, oh, this one hurts. Fans adore Justin and his wife Jessica Biel, who are married and have 2 kids together. Honestly, they seem to be the power couple in Hollywood. But that all changed in 2019 when photos leaked online showing Justin holding hands and getting cozy with his co-star Alicia Wainwright. The pictures were taken in New Orleans where he was filming, and apparently the cast had a night off and decided to go to a local bar. In the pictures, Justin is having drinks, holding her hand, and she is also stroking his knee at one point. But what most people pointed out very quickly was that he did not have his wedding ring on. For obvious reasons, this started a huge cheating rumor mill, but Justin released a public statement saying nothing happened further than those photos. He apologized and said that his actions were wrong, and Jessica Biel gave him a chance to prove himself. She was very forgiving. Up next, number 9, we have the epic elevator fight. This one shocked everyone when video footage surfaced in 2014 of Solange Knowles and Jay-Z having an argument in an elevator. Surveillance footage at a hotel caught Solange physically attacking her brother-in-law, who didn't put his hands on her at any point in this footage. It was a bit confusing for people to watch because the elevator ride was just quiet and normal at first, but then what seemed like out of nowhere, she just snaps and starts to kick him. Fans got an explanation later on when reports claimed that she was mad at Jay-Z for allegedly getting too close with Rachel Roy, his business partner's wife. But the 2 of them spoke on it later on and said that alcohol was involved and that they have worked it out and they are on good terms again. Basically, they said it was very simple. They are like brother and sister, and so they fight like brother and sister. I've been there. My sister's chased me around with a hammer one day and then loves me the next. And that's a fact. Cruising into the number 8 spot is Miley Cyrus's bong video. Back in 2010, this was one of the biggest scandals to happen because it was a Disney star gone wild situation. Miley had been exposed on social media and in paparazzi many times, but she doesn't seem too bothered by it usually. But she probably cared a little bit more about this scandal because someone exposed her online in a video of her hitting a bong on her 18th birthday. Let's keep in mind that during this time, this was not legal by any means, and she was still associated with the Disney Channel, so obviously it was very detrimental to her career and reputation. After Disney started making public statements about it, Miley claimed that she was smoking salvia, which is a natural and legal herb with psychedelic properties. No one believed her though, in all honesty, and then years down the road she admitted to what it really was, which we already knew. But okay, Miley. Moving on to number 7, we have Reese Witherspoon's DUI. That is a sentence that I never thought I would say. No one wants their personal life getting caught on camera, but you most definitely do not want a DUI getting caught on camera. Or your legal record for that. It's worse in Reese's case because hers was filmed and then exposed to the entire world. It happened back in 2013 when she was with her husband at the time, Jim Toth, and they were pulled over by an Atlanta cop on suspicion of a DUI. The police dash cam caught the whole thing on tape and showed Reese going into some erratic rage, which actually led to her being arrested. Her husband was the one driving, so he was actually the one with the drink driving charge, but Reese was intoxicated and just felt feisty, and she felt the need to stick up for her husband. In the video, you can see Reese yelling at the police officers and not listening to their orders, which were telling her to sit down. They ended up putting her in handcuffs, and then she lies to them saying that she's pregnant and has to pee as an attempt to get out of the handcuffs. They ended up both being arrested, and she ended up pleading no contest to physical obstruction of another, and Jim pled guilty to his DUI. In spot number 6, we have Winona Ryder's shoplifting scandal. She has one of the most trending surveillance tapes from any celebrity misconduct that's ever been caught on camera. The footage was released back in 2001 when she was one of the biggest Hollywood stars at the time that everyone was talking about. But then everyone was talking about her for all the wrong reasons. Video footage leaked and showed her shoplifting merchandise worth $5,000 from Saks Fifth Avenue in Beverly Hills. The incident and legal battle put her career on hold for a while, but later down the road, she said that it was the best thing that could have happened to her at that point in her life. She explained and said that she felt like she was hitting a wall, and what happened gave her the time off that she needed. Honestly, I don't get when like celebrities shoplift. Like, you are rich and you could probably get half that stuff for free simply because of who you are. Like, what are you doing shoplifting? You have $5,000. At number 5, we have LeAnn Rimes and Eddie Cibrian cheating scandal. This one was messy. The two of them were co-stars in the 2009 movie Northern Lights, but they seemed to grow a closer relationship than just co-stars. At the time, LeAnn was married to the dancer Dean Shermitt for 9 years, and Eddie was married to model Brandy Granville. During the shoot of their movie, they upgraded their friendship to another level, and surveillance footage caught the whole thing on tape. Video footage from a restaurant showed the two of them having dinner together and even sharing a kiss and holding hands. Even though the footage showed them straight up kissing, the two of them denied infidelity, which just made people even more angry at the situation because, like, you got caught. What do you mean? Sniping our number 4 spot is David Hasselhoff Drunken Hamburger Feast. If this is your first time hearing about it, then you're probably really confused as to what I'm talking about. It seemed silly at first, but it was actually a lot more serious than people knew. The video footage surfaced online back in 2007 and was actually exposed on social media by his own daughter. She didn't have bad intentions, she just posted the video clips online thinking no one would see it or that no one would really pay attention to it. The video showed her dad completely wasted, lying on the floor, struggling to eat a hamburger, which normally would be funny to watch, but he is a recovering addict, and the video exposed that he was no longer sober like he was claiming to be. In the video, you can hear his 16-year-old daughter saying, I quote, "Dad, you need to promise me you're not gonna get alcohol tonight, okay? If you get alcohol tonight, you are fired from your show tomorrow. And a doctor is coming over here in the morning to check your alcohol level, and if there's any alcohol in your system, you're going to be fired." So it was actually a lot more serious than people thought. David ended up admitting to his relapse and issued an apology. Taking over our 3rd spot is Jamie Lynn Spears and the Pita Pit fight. A lot of people learned not to mess with Britney Spears' little sister back in 2015 after surveillance footage showed her doing something crazy. She was having lunch at a Pita Pit restaurant when a fight just broke out in the dining area, which actually included one of her friends. Jamie was not actually involved in the fight and she was trying to break it up, but it was unsuccessful, so she did the unthinkable. She actually was able to grab her friend and pulled her out of this brawl, and then she walks behind the food counter and grabs a bread knife and starts waving it around as a warning to the people fighting. No one got hurt, and no, she did not actually use the knife on anyone, but who knew that this Nickelodeon star had that kind of fight in her? That is pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. Swinging around a bread knife. I can't even imagine. Moving on to the number 2 spot is Kate Moss gets caught with substances. The famous incident happened in 2005, and by that time, everyone knew that the English supermodel was having some substance issues, but this was the first time that her addiction came out as a legit story. Video footage surfaced online showing the model snorting 5 lines in the course of 40 minutes. Turns out there was a hidden camera in the recording studio that she had been hanging out in with her then boyfriend Pete Doherty. Once the photos and video footage surfaced everywhere, she lost all of her fashion clients like Burberry and H&M, who ended their campaigns with her immediately. All of the contracts that she lost were worth more than $4 million. Rumor has it though that the only brand to actually stick by her during that time was Chanel, who announced that they were willing to renew her contract despite what happened in that video. Earning a number 1 spot is Caitlyn Jenner's car accident. This one is more serious than some of the other ones on our list, and it turned into a significant legal battle. Caitlyn got into a car accident back in 2015, which quickly turned into a serious lawsuit after one person was killed. Caitlyn was uninjured in the crash, but after being exposed on social media, she was deemed a lawsuit for wrongful death. Video footage was posted online which captured the entire accident on camera, showing Caitlyn's Escalade. Her Escalade was carrying an off-road vehicle, and she ended up hitting 2 cars, causing one car to hit the other car. One of the drivers, Kim Howe, was 69 years old at the time and sadly passed away in the crash. At the time of the investigation, even though the tape clearly shows who is at fault, she was able to walk away without any charges. However, 3 years after the accident in 2018, she was sentenced to pay $800,000 for the settlement of the case. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is the Kevin Hart cheating scandal. In 2017, he broke the internet after video footage leaked and showed him with another woman. Allegations flooded the internet claiming that he had cheated on his wife at the time, Aniko Parrish, who was 8 months pregnant with their son. Kevin was denying the rumors at the time, but then landed in the middle of an extortion attempt. Someone allegedly was in possession of a video of him with another woman engaging in sexual activity, and they were going to expose him if he did not give the money. Aniko later explained how she found out about the cheating scandal, and it was actually through a DM. She said, "I was about 7 or 8 months pregnant and I was having breakfast and I opened my phone and immediately I just lost it." Kevin finally admitted to it and released a public apology to his wife and family, and the two of them worked through it and they are still together to this day. They even have more babies together. Moving on to number 9, we have the infamous Pamela Anderson sex tape. This scandal is so crazy that it's almost too crazy to believe, but it is still one of the most talked about controversies. They actually have a TV series coming out about it. It was back in 1995 when she made a tape with her husband at the time, Tommy Lee. They made the tape during their honeymoon and said that it was never meant for anyone else's eyes. But just a few months after being filmed, it was being watched by millions of people. Turns out they were having their Malibu home renovated and had many workers at the time working on their home. An electrician named Rand Gauthier said that they owed him $20,000 but refused to pay it, so he wanted revenge. He ended up plotting a heist and stole their safe from their garage, which was filled with their jewelry, other prized possessions, and their tape. In order to avoid the security cameras, he disguised himself as the couple's dog by draping a white fur cover over himself, and then once he was inside, he lifted the safe and used a U-Haul dolly to move it. Like, I'm not even kidding, you cannot make this up. Of course, he then leaked the tape and it actually made $77 million in less than 12 months. Wow. In the number 8 spot is Mike Tindall. This was one of the biggest cheating scandals in Hollywood because it is never a good idea to cheat on the Queen of England's granddaughter. The English rugby player cheated on his wife Zara Phillips back in 2011. Well, he did, or he attempted to, we're still not very sure. It was only a few weeks after he married the second child of Queen Elizabeth's daughter, Anne. Video footage captured him kissing, so I guess he technically did cheat then. But he still denies it. Anyway, video footage captured him kissing a mysterious blonde woman in New Zealand, and the world was shocked. The incident was caught on CCTV cameras and then went viral immediately. Because it involved a member of the royal family, the scandal blew up even bigger than people expected. However, despite the massive scandal, the two of them continued to stay married. Cruising into number 7 is Ariana Grande and the donut. This one is a little more ridiculous compared to the other ones. Who would have thought a donut would cause so much drama? Back in 2015, Ariana was exposed after someone posted surveillance footage of her licking a donut. She and her boyfriend at the time, Ricky Alvarez, decided to play truth or dare at a donut shop, and apparently that was one of the dares. In the footage, you can see them daring each other to lick the donuts that were on display for purchase. People thought it was inconsiderate to the business, obviously, but there was more to it. In the video, you can also hear her saying, "I hate Americans, I hate America." So obviously, Americans weren't very thrilled about it. She faced a ton of backlash for it and released an apology video taking responsibility for her actions. Like, what? Who'd be out here just licking donuts on display? She probably had to buy them all after that. Rolling into the number 6 spot is Tristan Thompson caught cheating. Technically speaking, his scandal was 2 different times because he was caught cheating twice. What a guy. The first time was when his girlfriend Khloe Kardashian was in the hospital about to give birth to their daughter. Security footage leaked online showing him kissing another woman in a nightclub more than one time. On top of that, video footage showed him going to a hotel with that same woman that he was kissing in the club. After the scandal blew over and she gave birth to their daughter, she did decide to forgive him and stayed with him. But then later down the road, it was revealed that he had cheated once again, but with Kylie Jenner's best friend, Jordan Woods, who was basically a sister to Khloe and the rest of their family. I remember when the video first broke the internet, it was crazy because like news articles announced that Khloe was in labor and then Tristan was out cheating while she's in the hospital. It was crazy. It was nuts. Yet she stayed. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Bryce Hall. That's all, just Bryce Hall. It is safe to say the TikTok star has had many scandals in his career so far, but one of them was a physical altercation that got caught on camera. It was actually 2 incidents on 2 different occasions. The first one was in late 2020 when he posted a video of he and his friends physically attacking an unknown man outside of a restaurant. He exposed himself and tweeted the video and said, "We don't condone violence, but if you punch someone in front of us, we'll have no choice but to defend ourselves." But Bryce's security guard was in the video with them, and everyone was quick to say that the altercation could have been avoided and that posting the video was showing that you did condone the violence. Then, just a few weeks after this first video, another one leaked online of Bryce attacking a server at a restaurant in LA. Apparently, in LA, it is illegal to vape in restaurants, and when the server told him to stop, he got mad and attacked the employee. The footage was crazy, and unfortunately, we cannot share it on here, so I apologize. But the fighting videos are pretty wild to watch. Moving on to number 4, we have the Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction. A moment caught on camera that will forever be remembered. You might have even guessed that it would be on this list. It wasn't just caught on camera though, it was actually aired live in front of the entire world. Back in 2004, she paired up with Justin Timberlake to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, and as most of us know it, things did not go to plan. Near the end of the song, they were performing some of the rehearsed choreography, and Justin was supposed to pull off part of her costume, but instead of revealing what was underneath, he exposed her bare breast instead. One of the worst fails ever at the worst timing. It was said that at that halftime show, it had 140 million viewers that night. Taking 3rd place is Lamar Odom's paparazzi freakout. Celebrities having a little freakout on the paparazzi isn't anything new, but this one crossed the line and took things too far. The NBA star was exposed in some leaked video footage where he was yelling at a paparazzi man and destroying all of his equipment. Turns out the pap had asked him about his affair on Khloe Kardashian at the time, and he lost his cool. He found the pap's car, which was parked nearby, and he took a crowbar, opened it, and started throwing all of his camera equipment in the middle of the road. Even after he had thrown it on the ground, he went over to it, picked it up, and just kept smashing it to make sure that it was broken. Tons of people were driving by, so fans were just standing there confused watching the whole thing happen. The man ended up pressing charges though, and Lamar paid him for new equipment and apologized. Rolling into the number 2 spot, we have Paris Hilton. I'm sure you can guess which one this is. Another sex tape scandal that we could never forget. It's tough to say if this was technically caught on camera or not, since she participated in the video, but the whole scandal has been a huge controversy because a lot of people think that it was a publicity stunt. Back in 2003, her tape was allegedly leaked online, but things seem to be a bit sketchy. The video was called One Night in Paris and showed footage of her and her ex-boyfriend Rick Salomon. But when it was leaked, the video footage at that point was 3 years old, so people didn't know why it just randomly came out 3 years later. Paris claimed that her ex leaked it, but people think she did it because it was leaked just before the premiere of her new reality show. I personally don't want to say that she leaked it in case she really didn't, because that is a horrible thing to have something intimate and personal leaked online like that, but all the articles I have read claim that it was a PR stunt and that she did benefit from it. If you know what I'm saying. She got money. Winning the number 1 place is the Britney Spears umbrella drama. While it may have seemed funny at the time, in more recent years we learned that it was actually more serious than anyone knew, and Britney was really struggling with mental health issues at that time. The incidents became a meme and a gif for many years, but now it's not so funny anymore. Back in 2007, we saw footage of her freaking out on paparazzi and smashing their car with an umbrella. In the same night, we also saw footage of her going to a hair salon and shaving off all her hair, and then getting a tattoo just a few moments later. The night was very chaotic and people didn't understand why she was just spiraling out of control. The umbrella from the incident was actually kept by the paparazzi man who got attacked, and 10 years after the incident he auctioned it off in LA and was starting the bid for $50,000. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is the Miley Cyrus kiss. You are probably wondering which one? It was the one that surprised everyone because it was so random and came shortly after the news that she had split from her husband Liam Hemsworth. In the summer of 2019, photos went viral showing Miley on vacation kissing and cuddling with Caitlyn Carter, Brody Jenner's wife. People were very confused, but turns out Caitlyn and Brody had split very recently, and so did Liam and Miley. So the pictures were also a shock not only to fans, but just everyone involved. Their fling only lasted a month, but Caitlyn has since opened up about how hard it was for her. She said, "I went on vacation with a female friend. The next thing I knew, I was in love with her. Until that trip, it had never crossed my mind that I was even capable of loving a woman the way I loved her." She told herself that all her relationships after that one will be kept more private. Even though she and Miley did try to keep it private, the paparazzi got them. I remember they're kissing, they were under a hat trying to kiss, and it was like, busted, ladies. Up next, number 9, we have Hugh Grant getting caught with a lady of the night, if you know what I mean. It was back in 1995 when he was caught on the Sunset Strip having an affair, paying a woman to get intimate with him in his car. He got busted and was arrested for lewd conduct in a public place. The news itself was a huge scandal because he was a huge Hollywood celebrity getting caught in the act, but it was a very sticky situation because he was with his longtime girlfriend at the time, Elizabeth Hurley. So not only did he publicly cheat on her, but it happened with someone that he paid. The two of them still tried to work through it as she chose to forgive him at the time, but things did not work out. In the end, she ended up leaving him 5 years later after this scandalous incident. Sliding into number 8 is the infamous Princess Diana affair. This one could be seen as the biggest affair in all of Hollywood history since it involved people with such royalty. It was back in 1992 when The Sun leaked a transcript of phone calls that were captured between Princess Diana and James Gilby. The secret phone calls revealed the affair she was having on Prince Charles at the time, as the two of them were still married. It was a massive scandal, but got even more controversial when it was revealed that Charles was also having an affair with his now wife, Camilla Parker Bowles. So both members of royalty did not remain loyal in their marriage, and obviously the rest of the world was freaking out about it. In spot number 7, we have Madonna, Christina, and Britney kissing. It has now gone down in history as one of the biggest moments caught on camera, even becoming a viral gif and meme. If this whole thing happened in 2021, it would never be a controversy, but things were a lot different back in 2003 when it happened. It was during the MTV Video Awards when Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, and Madonna performed together and ended up locking lips. Madonna just felt the need to rock the boat a little bit and kiss both of them during the live performance. Because times were so different back then, the camera switched their shots quickly and cut to a shot of Justin Timberlake's very confused reaction. He was dating Britney at the time and looked just as confused as everyone else did. They ended up cutting the kiss shots out and they did not televise it, but the footage and photos were already all over the internet and they live on to this day. What an iconic moment. Next up at number 6, we have Britney Spears getting called a terrible mother. When asking Britney about it, this scandal was just one big misunderstanding, but to the public it was something very serious. In February of 2006, the paparazzi got photos of Britney driving in her car with her infant son on her lap instead of in a car seat in the back. The photos went viral immediately and media outlets began calling her a bad mother, obviously concerned for the safety of her child. But Britney tried to explain what happened and said that she was in a, I quote, horrifying, frightful encounter with the paparazzi. She said it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing that she needed to get out of there as quickly as possible for her safety as well as her son's, and she didn't have time to just stand there and buckle him in the car seat. Her intentions were to just leave the area to get away from the paparazzi and then buckle him in his seat like usual, but of course, this was still a very dangerous decision and situation. Halfway through our list, at number 5, we have Kylie Jenner's pregnancy. Well, Kylie Jenner's secret pregnancy. That is why it was such a controversy. Normally, a woman becoming pregnant is very exciting news, but because she was 20 at the time and keeping it a secret, it was a more scandalous situation. Back in 2018, Kylie seemed to go quiet for a while from the Hollywood limelight, and no one understood why. For months, people were speculating that she was pregnant, but no one could ever get confirmation until the paparazzi finally got pictures of her with her very pregnant belly. The photos leaked online and it caused some outrage because fans just didn't know why she kept it a secret. She ended up apologizing in an Instagram post saying, "I'm sorry for keeping you in the dark through all the assumptions. I understand you're used to me bringing you along on all my journeys. My pregnancy was one I chose not to do in front of the world." She shared her entire pregnancy though in a video called "To Our Daughter," which was filled with videos and photos that she took along the way while she was hiding it from the world. It was actually beautiful. I watched it. It was so cute. Cruising into number 4, we have A$AP Rocky's arrest. It was a very dramatic event in 2019 when TMZ released a video showing that the rapper got into a street fight while he was in Sweden. Just days later, he was detained by the Swedish court for a suspected attack. It didn't help that there was video footage linking him to the case, but he maintained the claim that he was acting in self-defense. His detainment made worldwide news and even got the attention of Kim Kardashian and former President Donald Trump, who warned Sweden there would be negative consequences if they did not release him from prison. He ended up being found guilty of the assault but was able to avoid jail time. Instead, he was handed a suspended sentence after the court found that the incident was not of such serious nature to warrant more time behind bars. He did pay the victim $1,300 in damages, and that was it. Rolling into number 3 is the Kanye West and Taylor Swift feud. I don't think anyone will ever forget the most cringe-worthy moment in award show history. The time in 2009 at the MTV Video Music Awards when Kanye West walked up on stage and grabbed the mic from her hand during the middle of her acceptance speech. She was accepting the award for Best Female Video when he took the mic and announced to the room and the entire world that she did not deserve the award and that Beyonce should have won it. He gave a big speech about how Beyonce's video for Single Ladies and how it was the best music video ever created, apparently, which was pretty good, but like, rude. The entire thing was incredibly awkward, and even Beyonce felt horrible about the situation and looked horrified when he did it. But later in the show, when Beyonce won an award, she called Taylor up on stage to let her finish her speech during her speech time. So it was really cute. Taking over our number 2 spot is Mel Gibson's leaked audio. Back in 2012, there was a crazy incident that went down between Mel and screenwriter Joe Esterhaz. Joe and his family were actually staying at Mel's home in Costa Rica when he went off on a crazy rant that left them terrified. What happened was, Mel was supposed to direct a movie called The Maccabees, but Warner Brothers passed on it after reading the script, which apparently Joe had written. Joe claimed that Mel purposely sabotaged the film, which was about a famous 2nd century BC Jewish revolt, and said that he did it for anti-Semitic reasons. The audio from his rant leaked because Joe's son had recorded it on his iPod. In his rant, he was lashing out at Joe for apparently not working hard enough on the script and blaming him for the reasons the movie was not moving forward. You can hear him cursing and throwing things, and Joe says he released the audio on purpose so that everyone could see how Mel is behind closed doors. We already knew that though. His DUI, his other racist rant that he went on. We already know. In our number 1 spot is Kurt Cobain. The most serious and controversial scandal on this list was the passing of the legendary musician and the debate that still remains around it. In 1994, he was found passed away in his home from a self-inflicted shotgun wound to the head. That is what the police report conducted at the time, and photos of the crime scene were leaked online. People immediately started investigating the photos and then speculated on whether or not it was really self-inflicted. Some people pointed the finger at his then-wife Courtney Love. Since that day, tons of theories have floated around about who it may have been and what really happened to him. Honestly, if it wasn't for the released photos and the final letter that was found in his home, people probably wouldn't have been as skeptical. The letter was inconsistent and raised a lot of questions, and the position of his body in the photos and then the things around him in the scene just didn't add up, and it still remains a mystery to this day.
Number 10. VMAs from 2015. 2015 VMAs were just start to finish rough. Miley Cyrus hosted that year, which was a bad idea. Not that she did a bad job, but she was in the midst of a feud with Nicki Minaj. Nicki called her out when she took to the stage to accept her Best Hip Hop award, asking her what was good. Miley had just talked trash about her in the New York Times, and there was a brief back and forth, but all in all, it could have been way worse. Oh yeah, it did get worse. On top of dropping a numerous amount of F-bombs during the show, there was a war wardrobe malfunction for Miley. At one point in the show, she did a bit where she was holding part of a drape over herself while changing, but the drape slipped and revealed her bare chest to the world. No censor was able to catch it at the moment, and any footage now is of course blurred, but that's what happens when you do it live. It wasn't just Miley that caused issues. Kanye West also made a long-winded speech that was kind of a rant, kind of a truth bomb, but mostly nonsense. The speech derailed the flow of the show and was just a little peek into the madman that was being created. Oh, and to top it all off, no Beyonce, no Madonna, no Lady Gaga. Why? Number 9. Michael's birthday speech. Travel back to 2002 with me for a moment. It's just a jump to the left. It's a musical thing. On August 29th, the VMAs took place on what also happened to be Michael Jackson's birthday. In case you forgot, Michael was the Thriller guy, Macaulay Culkin's best friend. You should not forget him. In honor of Michael Jackson and in celebration, MTV threw a birthday party during the event. Britney Spears was tasked with presenting Michael and delivering his birthday cake. During his speech to set up Michael's arrival, she praised him as an incredible performer and referred to him as the artist of the millennium. Things got a little awkward when Michael took the stage and started giving a speech, thanking the audience for giving him the Artist of the Millennium award. In one of the most uncomfortable moments in MTV's history, Michael Jackson started describing his childhood and how appreciative he was for the honor being bestowed upon him. The crowd was confused but ultimately decided to play along and gave him a massive round of applause. When Michael found out about the incident, he was actually more giggly than anything else. According to his management team at the time, he thought it was hilarious and felt like the biggest fool in the world. A happy birthday indeed. Number 8, Oscar Streaker. This is by far the oldest entry on this list, dating back to 1974. During the Oscar ceremony, as the host David Niven was introducing Elizabeth Taylor, who was presenting the award for Best Picture, as he was making a speech literally referencing how the world was having a bit of a nervous breakdown and that films provided an escape from reality, a man wearing nothing but his mustache and his birthday suit ran across the stage, throws up a peace sign, and disappears off the camera. He never says a single word the entire time he's up there. After Niven had a bit of a chuckle, he told the crowd that this was bound to happen, but was it? Even in 1974, it was pretty difficult to get into the Oscars without an invitation. Robert Opel, the man with the mustache, made his way through security by posing as a journalist, and while behind the scenes, he cut a hole in a large and expensive piece of curtain that was supposed to be used for projecting images, and then made it to the other side of the stage. It was later revealed that this was actually somewhat planned, as the man was encouraged by a producer to make an appearance, and to do what he did when Niven said his lines, which was a strange and memorable moment for sure. Number 7, Miss Universe. Getting the name wrong for an award show moment is one thing, and at the Oscars, there are at least a ton of people who can share in your disappointment if that ever happens. But in 2015, Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud, was the host of the Miss Universe pageant, bringing women from all around the globe to compete for the title of Miss Universe. As Steve went on to announce the winner, he confidently exclaimed that Miss Colombia, who was really the first runner-up, was the winner, when actually it was Miss Philippines. The mistake was not his fault though. During the rehearsal, he was only supposed to say 2 names, the runner-up and the winner, but last minute they changed it to where he had to say 3 names, which really just threw him off and created a lot of chaos. The teleprompter said 1 name, but someone in his ear told him to just read the name on the card that he was holding. Those were 2 different names, and a fumble took place. He went backstage and got told he did a great job, but then he was told he said the wrong name, and instead of waiting for the news to come out the next day, Steve walked back on stage, revealed he made a mistake, and to the devastation of one woman and the delight of another. He received a lot of flack for this moment, but again, not really his fault. Number 6, Moonlight mix-up. This is one of the few live TV fumbles I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world. In 2017, at the Oscar ceremony, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway appeared on stage to present an award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused, as it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land because she was accidentally handed a copy of the winners from Best Actress in a leading role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye just looked confused until the stage was overflowing with excited cast and crew ready to accept their Oscars. However, one moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they didn't win. A stagehand jogged to them, just bolted across the room, handed them the real winner's name, which was Moonlight, who had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There is a moment of people thinking it's some kind of a joke, but the director was being very sincere. The best part of this moment, Ryan Gosling is in the background, the lead of the movie and a nominee for Best Actor, and all he is doing is trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset, it was more like a "you gotta be kidding me" type deal. Something tells me that Faye and Warren won't be asked to present any awards anytime soon. Number 5, Adele Dazeem. A while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she voices Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other stuff, but I can't geek out about that right now. For this event, she was promoting the film Frozen and showcased a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. It's probably still in your head right now. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts, and there's even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that's turned people like Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mazzoline. Kind of like that one. The following year, the two appeared on stage together again, where Idina decided to drop some revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a little bit forced, but it was nice that they played the whole thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is supposed to triple check everything before he presents and has to practice pronouncing names constantly. Number 4, Will Smith versus Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was presenting at the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see her in a fictional G.I. Jane movie, and immediately following the joke, which was very funny and landed for everyone else, Rock stood in confusion because Will Smith started making his way to the stage. What's going on? Well, Will adjusted his jacket, took a firm stance, and clocked Chris right across his cheeks. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force, and initially this was seen as a planned joke or something, but then Will started shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, adding a couple F-bombs in there. Chris handled the situation pretty well, and he kept his cool, laughing it off for the camera, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was professional and was quick to get the night back on track, but unfortunately about an hour later, Will Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role because he played, Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena, in a movie. But during his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, the slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars indefinitely. And on top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and right now he just sits at his home polishing his one and only Oscar next to one single lit candle in the darkest room of his mega mansion. Number 3, Adrien Brody and Halle Berry. We're popping back again to 2003 at the Academy Awards, where Halle Berry presented Adrien Brody with the award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Normally, when you accept an award like this, you walk on stage, thank the person who announced you, and give a little speech. But instead, Adrien grabbed Halle Berry's face and pulled her in close, planting one right on her. At the time, the incident was brushed off and nothing was thought of it, but a couple of years ago, Halle admitted that the moment was unplanned and she had no idea what was happening. At the time, this moment was seen as comedic or just some fun between friends, but in 2023, the moment feels a lot darker and it's pretty clear that Halle was uncomfortable. Number 2, Jennifer Lawrence. This is one of the more memorable award show moments of all time that she may never live down. In 2013, while walking up the stage to accept her Oscar for Best Actress, Jennifer took a little tumble and tripped on her dress. She stood giggling for a moment, but eventually made her way to the stage. But the following year, she fell again, only this time on the red carpet, and again the next year. People started to notice a pattern and started to think that maybe she was just doing it on purpose to appear more grounded. Not some Hollywood elite who knows how to walk properly, because if you're not famous, then you can't walk straight. Those are the rules. Eventually, she got her footing down and has not made any more on-air tumbles in recent history, but we can chalk up the moments to Jen wearing a dress that was a little bit just too long and not paying attention to where she was stepping, but that's about it. And at number 1, the Kanye snub. Now, there are so many reasons that Kanye West is banned from attending another VMA show in his life, and most award shows. Now, we could chalk it up to him being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every company he worked for when he posted some pretty bad tweets that I will not get into. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps, as well as one onstage incident that people still talk about today. The incident took place in 2009 when Taylor Swift was trying to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage, took the mic from her hand, and told everyone that he was gonna let her finish, but that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time, guys. He didn't sound that nerdy, but Taylor still jokes about the incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City this year for her Eras tour, she took to the stage to play her piano and the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is actually the best way to be interrupted, and she should know.
And at number 10, Heard looks like she's snorting something. While Amber Heard was on the stand, it was pretty emotional, so she had some tissues nearby to dry her tears if she got emotional. At one point she decided to blow her nose, but she did it in such a strange way that the internet believed she was actually doing something illegal. If you watch the video in slow motion, it looks like Amber uses the tissue to push something into her nose and then she snorts it. It doesn't look like she blows anything into the tissue, which is generally what they're used for. Theories then started brewing that Heard snorted a white substance into her nose, but many felt it was way too much of a stretch. Then a more probable theory started circulating that Amber snorted menthol, which is a common trick that makes actors cry, especially since under the circumstance, crying would help her case in trial. And at number 9, Amber afraid of Johnny Depp. During the shocking trial, the couple have not had any contact. On top of that, the pair also haven't made much eye contact, mostly because Depp refuses to look in Heard's direction. Recently, while Heard was getting off the stand, Johnny was approaching it, and there was an awkward moment where they were about to cross paths. When Heard seemed to notice that it was about to happen, she looked very startled, then walked away from him. Heard looked like she was physically shrinking and terrified. Taking a step back as court officials immediately turned towards Depp and put their hands up, warning him to stay away. To make matters worse, moments before that, Heard had been testifying about Depp assaulting her with a bottle and threatening to take her life. So clearly emotions were running very high. During Heard's testimony, Depp was not paying attention, doodling and writing in a notebook. And at number 8, posed while on the stand. Another moment that's going viral online shows Amber Heard posing for a photo while on the stand. While she was talking about the time in her relationship when Johnny was detoxing, she had a tissue to her face and held it there until she saw the flash of a camera taking a picture. Even crazier, if you watch the whole clip, you can see that she doesn't even use this tissue, making it clear the whole thing was just for show. Body language expert Dr. Lillian Glass agrees, saying, quote, "Yes, she posed for sure. She had no liquid in her eyes or nose, and she never blew her nose, just put the Kleenex to her nose and kept it there. She snuck a peek at the camera to make sure they had the shot." Obviously, things like this do not make Amber Heard look good, and it makes it seem like she's doing everything possible to get good press. And at number 7, stole lines from the talented Mr. Ripley. Another claim that went wild on social media was that Amber Heard copied the main stories from her testimony from TV shows and movies. At one point, a side-by-side comparison of her transcript compared to the script from the talented Mr. Ripley was posted on Twitter, making it seem like she copied the movie script word for word. But when you actually compare the lines from the movie and what Amber said, you can see that it's not a direct copy like it was claimed. If anything, the storytelling is very similar, but that could just be a coincidence. Depending on what side you're on in this case, you'll probably see what you want to see, but it's not nearly as compelling as the internet made it seem before. And at number 6, inconsistencies in her story. Since the internet is mostly on Johnny Depp's side in things, after Amber Heard took the stand, the internet immediately started dissecting her testimony. Viral TikToks even show people acting out her retelling of events, and it makes literally no sense. In one TikTok, the audio hears Amber claiming that she was sitting on the edge of a couch, then she says how she was on the floor looking at how dirty the rug is, painting the picture that her version of events makes no sense. A tweet breaking down another event said, quote, "I walked out of the bedroom and he slapped me in the face. I turned around to face him and I said, 'Johnny, you just hit me.'" The user pointed out that you can't be slapped by someone and then turn around to face them. Halfway at number 5, forces herself to cry. While Amber was on the stand, she was talking about some very traumatic moments in her past and getting somewhat emotional. At some points it looked like she was getting over-emotional in an attempt to make herself cry. For the longest time, it did not work, and she looked like she was in pain trying to get herself to cry for the jury. Many online were joking that it was the best acting performance she'd given in her life. And at number 4, ACLU donation. One of the worst cases of Amber Heard lying is in regards to her donations to the ACLU, since it's so easy to get to the truth. During her divorce proceedings, Amber went on record stating that she would donate the proceeds from her divorce to Children's Hospital of LA and the ACLU within 10 years. During the recent trial, the ACLU says that she gave them less than half of her $3.5 million pledge. An executive from the company, Terrence Doherty, said that the nonprofit received 4 donations in Amber's name so far, totaling only $1.3 million. Only $350,000 from her directly. Johnny Depp then wrote a check for $100,000, and Amber Heard asked for that money to be credited to her. The organization also says other payments included $500,000 from a donor-advised fund at Vanguard and $350,000 from a donor-advised fund at Fidelity. The ACLU believes a large portion of this money came from Elon Musk, Heard's former boyfriend. And at number 3, Heard copying Depp's outfits. One strange thing that's been noticed during the trial is that Amber seems to copy Johnny's outfits in court. Dr. Shannon Curry took the witness stand and testified that she diagnosed Amber Heard with 2 personality disorders, and one could cause her to mimic her ex-husband Johnny Depp's wardrobe choices. Dr. Curry claimed that Amber's disorder may cause her to, quote, take on the identity of the people they are spending time with because it's comforting. At that point, fans already started to notice that she was copying Depp's outfits, with some believing it's a tactic to intimidate him. Many fans on Twitter are pointing out the strange coincidence, pointing out how Heard will copy the color and style of whatever Depp wears the next day. And at number 2, hides a water bottle. There might not be anything wrong with this one, but it's definitely strange. So while Amber Heard is in court, she's talking to her lawyers, and then she goes to unscrew a water bottle. Pretty normal stuff. But then one of the courtroom cops comes over and walks by, and for some reason Amber quickly screws the cap back on and hides it in her jacket pocket. This bizarre moment is leading some to believe that the contents of the bottle were definitely not water. The caption on the video read, quote, Amber Heard and her deeply sus moment in court with her water bottle. And finally, number 1, hid a smile. There have been a few moments in court that have just not seemed to add up. A few involve Amber Heard laughing or hiding a smile either while she is testifying or while Johnny Depp is. A body language expert did an entire 30-minute video on this topic, breaking down one specific moment where Amber Heard's facade cracked, and she showed her true emotion. In the thumbnail he wrote, quote, one smile exposed her. In the intro clip, we see Johnny recalling a moment with Amber, and he says, quote, it just didn't happen. As the camera pans to Amber, we see a brief smirk that she quickly conceals. The expert notes in the video that he believes she bit the inside of her cheek to conceal the smile. She then blocks her mouth as a reflex to again hide her emotion. The expert continues that it's shocking that she would decide to laugh in that moment when she sees her former partner breaking down on the stand.
At number 5, Carmen. For so many up-and-coming performers, you want to get yourself out in front of as many people as possible. Fame, after all, is based on talent and fan base, so if you can get as many people as possible engaging with your content, then you're golden. For many people, SNL can be a quick way to get to the top, but for others, it can ruin your career even before they really got it started. This is sort of what happened with music duo Carmen in February of 2012. SNL can be a testing ground for a lot of new artists, as new audiences are able to get a feel for this new talent. In January 2012, Lana Del Rey made her debut, and though she had some negative reviews, particularly those saying that she looked lost and distant on stage, she was able to then turn these reviews into the image that she holds today with her almost ethereal performances. But just a month later, when Carmen took the stage, their performance wasn't strong enough to catapult their career like it did for Lana. Carmen, though now disbanded and rebranded, was a music duo that got their start on YouTube by posting covers. Eventually, they got a large following by posting renditions of songs like Party Rock Anthem and Super Bass, and they were able to release original songs with the help of their newly signed music label. The casting director over at SNL found them and invited them to perform on the show, and so they did. They performed their songs Broken Hearted and I Told You So, and after their performance, the reviews came pouring in and it wasn't good. They faced a lot of criticism saying that they failed to connect with the audience, and one critic saying that their performance caused, quote, mild auditory distress. They were never really able to bounce back from this catastrophe of a performance, and so they eventually faded away, ending their careers. At number 4, Charles Rocket. There was a time when SNL was in big trouble. From 1980 to 1981, SNL was facing a bout of struggle and negativity following a controversial position change as they promoted Gene Dumanian to executive producer after Lorne Michaels took a break from the show. Because of this position change, most most of the cast left, prompting Jean to have to hire a new cast. This new cast was untested, and so the 80-81 season was really just in the dirt. One incident made things worse for everyone, and that was when comedian Charles Rocket dropped an F-bomb during a skit. Though SNL skits can be controversial, one thing that is absolutely a no-go are those pesky F-bombs, and so dropping one can be very bad for you and the studio. During the season's 11th episode, Charles was closing out the show and for whatever reason decided to let an F-bomb fly. While doing his closing, Charles, in reference to a skit that he did earlier in the show, said, quote, "It's the first time I've been shot in my life. I'd like to know who the F did it," end quote. If you watch this footage back, you can tell that this wasn't an accidental slip up on Charles' part, and that he actually meant to say it. This was the last straw for the studio, and they fired much of the cast and crew, including Jean and Charles. This whole F-word scandal came so close to sinking the entire show for good, but it sure did sink a lot of people's careers. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like to help support the channel, and also if you're in the mood, check out my gaming channel for some extra content with me. I promise it's fun. At number 3, Jenny Slate. Sometimes it takes a mistake to realize that you just aren't cut out for something. Mistakes are good for teaching us things, even though they totally suck in the moment. This was pretty much the case with comedian Jenny Slate during her brief time on SNL. Though she's pretty successful now, back in 2009 when she worked on SNL, she was still up and coming, looking to get her foot in the door. Things were starting to look up for Jenny when she landed the coveted role on SNL as a writer and performer, but things quickly took a nosedive as she messed up pretty big during her very first performance. In her first appearance as a member of the cast on the show, she was performing one of the sketches that she wrote called Biker Chick Chat, and in one of her lines, she accidentally switched up her words from being PG-13 to being a little more adult. Jenny ended up committing one of the greatest SNL sins, saying the F-word. She caught herself saying it but just brushed it off, pretending like no one else heard it, but unfortunately people did hear it. This mistake sort of stuck with her while she was working there, and though she wasn't fired for that specific reason, she did end up leaving at the end of that season. Though there was a misconception that the F-bomb was what ended her SNL career, Jenny said in an interview that, quote, "That's not why I got fired. I just didn't belong there. I didn't do a good job. I didn't click. I have no idea how Lauren felt about me. All I know is it didn't work for me and I got fired," end quote. Her career eventually picked up, but it probably set her back a bit after being fired from SNL. At number 2, Ashlee Simpson. Now I know we talked about one music act who destroyed their career on SNL, but here's another one for you that you might be more familiar with. After this performance, her career was never the same. Ashlee Simpson was getting her music career off the ground in the early 2000s, and in 2004 she was invited to perform a couple of songs on SNL. Like I said before, this kind of opportunity can be a big deal for some, but for others it can be detrimental. Anything can happen during a live performance, and it could be good or catastrophic. Well, Ashlee accepted the invitation to perform and geared up to perform her songs Autobiography and Pieces of Me. The performance of Pieces of Me went off without a hitch. Actually, it was pretty successful and got her and the audience pumped for another song, but this is where things turned sour. As the band got ready to start playing Autobiography, a track started playing and it wasn't what people were expecting to hear. Instead of hearing an instrumental for the correct song, they were instead listening to a pre-recorded vocal track of Ashlee singing Pieces of Me. This accidental slip-up revealed to everyone that she had been lip-syncing the entire time. Ashlee froze for a second and then started doing a weird and very awkward dance before rushing off the stage. It was mortifying and very detrimental to her career, and this incident stuck with her for a year. Later on down the line, Ashlee spoke out about that incident, saying that it was partially her dad's fault that this happened, saying that he suggested that she make a backup track because she was having troubles with her voice and didn't want to have her strain it more. Now Ashlee looks back on this incident saying that it certainly sucked, but she's stronger for it, and that's a positive way to look at things. Way to go, Ashlee. And finally at number 1, Sinead O'Connor. Probably one of the biggest SNL controversies to date comes from the drama surrounding Sinead O'Connor, the Catholic Church, and SNL. The show has had its fair share of controversies and scandals in the past, but I think few of them come close to this one that happened on October 3rd, 1992. On this episode, Sinead was asked to perform a few songs from her newest album at the time, and she agreed, but there was a little fine print to accompany her appearance. She refused to perform one of her original songs. Instead, Sinead opted to sing Bob Marley's song War. The show's executives thought this was a bit of a bizarre request, but they went along with it anyway because they thought that no matter what she sang, it would still be a captivating performance. Well, it was captivating alright, but not for the reasons that anyone was expecting. That night during her performance, Sinead did a very dramatic rendition of the song, even switching up some of the lyrics to change the context and meaning. It was all starting to get a little tense until Sinead blew the doors off the performance by ending it with her ripping up a photo of Pope John Paul II saying, quote, "Fight the real enemy. She did all of this as a means to raise awareness about the alleged abuse going on in the Catholic Church because she had personal experience with those who were allegedly hurt by members of the church and she wanted to fight against it. This stunt prompted a lot of anger towards Sinead as well as the show. For days following her performance, NBC received thousands of angry calls condemning them for allowing something like this to happen. Other celebrities like Madonna and Joe Pesci also had some harsh words for Sinead, and this stunt ruined her career after this as no one was quick to forget this scandal.
Number 10. The cockroach. The unexpected star of the night was oddly enough a cockroach, which found its way into the star-studded night. Not only did the little bug get to walk the red carpet, but it also got its own photographer. The cockroach snuck into the event without a $30,000 ticket and completely stole the show. In a clip that is now viral on Twitter, it shows the cockroach scurrying away from a photographer and really seemed to push its luck. Fans watched from the side, and it wasn't long before the whole thing became a meme. On Twitter, a user wrote, "Who was it wearing?" and another added, "I'm rooting for the roach." Some Twitter users took a different approach and compared the bug to other celebrities. One wrote, "Are you sure this isn't Anna Wintour?" And another added, "Kanye really went all out this year," with one Twitter user even suggesting that the bug could be Karl Lagerfeld reincarnated and attending the event that is in his honor. Number 9, we have Jared Leto as a cat. Jared Leto is an icon when it comes to the out-of-the-box ideas for his Met Gala looks, and this year did not disappoint. The star rolled up in a full-on life-size cat costume, and it was definitely a shock and surprise to onlookers. With no one really knowing who it was at first, he took to the red carpet, honestly looking pretty adorable. The look was for the late fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld's cat, who he famously loved. Reportedly, Karl loved the cat so much that he is rumored to have left his whole fortune to it, which is approximately $300 million. As Jared, as the cat, took to the red carpet, he waved to the cameras with his paws and then removed his cat head to reveal who he was, which fans and his fellow celebrities really did love. Fans took to Twitter with one user writing, "Of course it had to be Jared Leto," and another added, "Honestly, Jared Leto under the catsuit was the most logical answer." When asked why the cat, Jared told Entertainment Tonight, "I knew Karl. He was always such a kind man to me. I could just imagine him looking down with a big smile on his face, seeing his choupette in all its glory." Jared really was trying to channel his inner Karl and love for his cat, as he is set up to play Karl in an upcoming biopic. When talking about the biopic, he shared, "I feel like this is a full circle moment, and Karl will be proud of what we're doing." Going on to say, Karl was an artist, period. He was a fashion designer, he was a photographer, there was no defining him. He was a creative powerhouse. After that loving tribute that really made the crowd laugh though, it looks like not only could he play Karl in the film, but also Choupette. Number 8, we have Doja Cat vaping. Another star who decided to channel Karl's cat was Doja Cat. But not only that, but as dressed as a cat, she was caught vaping, and fans were honestly pretty shocked. This was Doja's first appearance at the Met Gala, and though most stars are typically on their best behavior, the rapper didn't really seem to care. There are certain rules in the Met Gala that Anna Wintour really stands by, and one of those rules are no selfies and no smoking. The no smoking rule was added in 2017 after Bella Hadid, Dakota Johnson, and Marc Jacobs were all spotted smoking in the bathroom, and had to be reminded of the rule of no smoking in a museum. Looks like Doja Cat really didn't get the memo though. While some loved that she looked so comfortable and relatable, others speculated that this would be her first and last Met Gala appearance because of this. One Twitter user wrote, "I feel like Doja knows she's on camera and is aware of people picking up on what she's doing. I don't think it's funny." Another added, "Okay, not to be a hater, but can't people just leave the vape at home? At least for like a couple hours. Or at least until you get home." Doja Cat has yet to say anything about getting caught vaping, but fans aren't too happy. What do you guys think about this Doja Cat moment? Number 7, acting like a cat. Okay, so not only was Doja dressed as a cat with prosthetic makeup to even achieve the look, but she also acted like one too. Emma Chamberlain really embodied the word patience when she interviewed the rapper for Vogue on the red carpet. Doja took a pretty interesting approach and began embodying a cat during the whole of the interview. When Emma asked her about her look for the event, Doja responded by just saying meow. Emma didn't give up though and replied by saying, "Wow, okay, so something a little different. So what was your inspiration for tonight?
Be honest with me, go into detail. Doja didn't stop though and kept meowing. As Emma kept trying with different questions, Doja kept up the cat persona and meowed to the Vogue reporter. It wasn't long before Emma ended up just laughing a bit before covering her mouth, and honestly, fair enough. At number 6, we have Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson reunite. The couple that no one saw coming and that many were actually pretty sad that ended is Kim and Pete. The former couple ended up reuniting at the gala and looked to have a pretty lively conversation, with Usher joining in. The trio was caught by photographers and the whole thing seemed pretty amicable. Pete and Kim both broke it off after 9 months together in August, and they actually went together to the Met Gala just last year. So all eyes were on them at the big event as they reunited at the star-studded Met Gala. Though some fans are convinced that the pair are just friends, others are saying that the 2022 vibes are very real. One photo captured from the night shows Pete lovingly looking at Kim. Could there be a possible rekindling in their relationship? Though the SNL star is said to be dating Chase Wonders at the moment, it won't stop some fans from hoping. Number 6, no Blake Lively. Where was the queen of the Met last night? Looks like the star snubbed the event to the disappointment of her fans. Blake, who is now a mother of 4, seemed to just be a bit too busy this year to attend the event that she really is the best at. At the reopening of the Tiffany & Co. 5th Avenue, New York City, Blake was asked if we'll see her at this year's gala. She answered by saying, "You will not, but I will be watching." The reporters went on to compliment her previous looks, to what she responded by saying, "Thank you, that's very sweet, I'll be wearing that on my couch on Monday." This was truly the worst news to Blake's fans, who always look out for the star and her husband, who steal the show year after year. But with parenting and supporting Ryan Reynolds' soccer team, which he co-owns, it looks like the couple was far too busy to make it. Number 4, Rihanna running late. Another true icon of the Met is Rihanna herself. You can always count on Rihanna to bring it year after year, but this year she left fans and spectators wondering where she was. With even the cockroach arriving first, it made other onlookers nervous as to if she was going to be a no-show. But the star made it and arrived fashionably late. About 4 hours after the red carpet walks really started, Rihanna and her partner A$AP Rocky made their long-anticipated appearance, and it really was a dramatic one. The star wore a massive white gown with a dramatic hood covered with camellia blossoms, which is part of Chanel's signature flower. Not only that, but she paid respects to Carl's beloved cat as well, and wore a pair of white cat-eye sunglasses, which were embellished with fake eyelashes. Really, the whole thing was pretty iconic, even if she did fail to walk on the red carpet at all. Number 3, we have Olivia and Margaret matching. Guess Olivia Wilde and Margaret sang really had the same idea last night in terms of outfits, and it really was a red carpet nightmare. Olivia was spotted wearing the same dress last night as Margaret, the editor-in-chief of Vogue China, and Twitter lost it. Of course, the women both thought their choice was going to be a unique one. They both decided to wear a vintage-inspired Chloe dress, which is based on 1983 Karl Lagerfeld, and they ended up twinning. Olivia opted for a long white version of the dress with side cutouts, a turtleneck neckline, and a gold embellishment in the front, and Margaret wore the exact same thing but in black. As photos and clips started to emerge of the ladies on the red carpet, one Twitter user wrote, "The biggest yikes ever." Another added, "Oof, everybody's worst fears." Unfortunately for the stars, it really only got worse when social media users began turning this embarrassing moment into a meme. Do you remember when the photo of the dress was going around, with everyone questioning, is it blue and black or is it white and gold? Well, with Margaret's iconic blue hair, people saw them as radiating the same energy. We have to ask, who do you think wore it best? Number 2, the side-eye. Okay, so it was a pretty quick moment, but it still made fans laugh that it was even caught on camera at all. Cardi B, who stuck with this year's theme, really killed it on the red carpet. In her first look, she channeled Carl and wore a gown with large camellia flowers. When talking about her outfit, she said, "The texture of this skirt is like a Chanel boy bag. Then you got the flowers, the camellia flower." Going on to say, when you get a Chanel purse, it always has a little white flower. But you know, this one is black. Then on top here, it's giving Carl, so I'm representing the house of Chanel and Carl at the same time. Her next look was a bejeweled pink dress with a matching tulle headpiece, which was really the biggest look of her night. But during another interview with Vogue, she appeared to be a little over it. While holding up the microphone, she takes a look at the Vogue reporter, then looks back at the camera, looking to give a little bit of a side eye. Who really knows why, but regardless, it was still a funny moment to be caught on camera. And finally, at number 1, we have forgetting names. Aubrey Plaza really knows how to grab the audience attention, and the Met Gala was no exception. The White Lotus star wore a tight-fit Stella McCartney gown on the red carpet, along with some dangly earrings and an over-the-elbow black gloves. The whole thing was really pretty elegant and right on theme. But after an incredibly awkward interview, the cringiness seemed to steal the show. During an interview with Stella McCartney and Madeline Klein, the interviewer Chloe Fineman clearly didn't know who Aubrey Plaza was. Chloe introduces the woman, and when she gets to Aubrey, she calls her Audrey and passes her the microphone to say her last name. Aubrey ends up saying Snutburn flatly, which is an Audrey Hepburn reference. It really only gets more awkward from there though. After Chloe goes on with the interview, asking Aubrey what she's wearing, she ends up unfortunately mispronouncing Stella's last name. Chloe starts to laugh at her mistake before Stella ends up leaning in and saying, "Are you even taking this seriously?" To which Chloe responds by, "I am." Stella then says, "I don't think you are." Chloe stops laughing and says, "No, I am, I'm sorry." While all this is happening, Aubrey shakes her shoulders and is smiling, looking to kind of love the whole awkward moment. As the clip is circulating Twitter, one user wrote, "This was so uncomfortable for no reason." Others just commented how their secondhand embarrassment really just can't handle it, and I have to agree.